Have you seen the shit that Hasidic Jews do to make sure that they don't violate the Sabbath? Because on the Sabbath in Judaism, you're not allowed to use any sort of power, any sort of electric, any sort of anything. And so they have like, Rube Goldberg machines. Goldberg, that's funny. Rube Goldberg machines. And it'll basically be like, all right, well, we can't possibly, press the elevator door. God would be upset by this. But if I put a bean in this basket and it happens to pull a lever down that goes around and presses the elevator door, then God's not looking. And it's like, do you really think God would be like, if God's real and he's up there looking, do you think he's like, these sons of bitches figured out a loophole? Or do you think he's going, asshole, you're not obeying my law. Fuck you. You're circumventing what the edict that I gave to you.
I didn't know this because it sounded like you were describing Amish to me at first, and their rules about not being able to use certain automated stuff. I've never met a Jew who did that.
No, it's only Hasidic and some more extreme Orthodox Jews.
Yeah.
Like not the average Orthodox Jew does not do this. Hasidic Jews do this, and like. They're not as dedicated as the Amish, I guess, because the Amish are like all day, every day, like fucking no. The only way to use the internet is job postings. Like that's the one thing the Amish allowed the internet for is like job posting and putting yourself out there, because even the Amish were like, we got to get online. Like even they realized it.
Even the Amish find ways around.
1 day a week they do that.
Yeah, the Amish even find ways around it though, because like they they're very letter of the law when it comes to a lot of that stuff. So like I've been to Amish country and worked with some of those people before, and like I was asking them about it, and he's like, yeah, I have a tractor, and I was like, how do you get around that? Because I watched that Tim Allen movie. Nobody had a tractor. They were all fucking shoveling out there, and he's like, well, I don't own it. I let the John Deere place hold the note. I paid it off, except for $1. So technically, I don't own a tractor. I just use one. And I was like, that's interesting. And he's like, well, and I've got a phone. And it's like, well, how can you have a phone? Well, it's not on my property. Do
they not understand equity in the Amish community?
No, they will not enjoy any equity. He owned a phone. Wasn't on his property, though. It was at the end of the driveway, like a mailbox in a little, it looked like an outhouse or something. He had a little phone out there. And the guy had...
Not an Amish.
No, this guy was Amish. No, his kids were out there in prairie garb, fucking.
Yeah, Mennonites do that too.
The Mennonites in Georgia don't. This guy was Amish. Like that was made clear. Like the Mennonites are pretty middle of the road. Like they're out there making blankets.
They have cars
and jam and stuff like that.
Cars.
But the Amish are fucking hardcore with that stuff. I wouldn't want to live like that. I don't know. That would be awful. I've seen those documentaries about the Amish young. When you're a kid, they get this period of time where they can go into the real world and see what that's all about.
And then
and then they come back and make their decision. And they had this one Amish kid they were following, and he had like shacked up with a bunch of other Amish cast outs, and they were all living in a trailer. And he's in there like fucking playing PlayStation 2 and drinking Mountain Dew and shit and loving it. Well, he gets into crystal meth, and he starts owing some crystal meth dealer a lot of money. So he has to go back to the Amish place and live on the farm to hide from the meth dealer. So he's got 2 car batteries set up in his bedroom, and he's got the PS2 hooked up to him somehow, and he's in there fucking playing PS2 off of DC power. It was absurd. But all the Amish kids were like having these like
single player games. No
connectivity. No, but they would have these barn parties, which sound pretty lame, but they're like raves. They're all doing drugs, and there's like techno music and flashing lights. Like it's a perfect example of if you take any kid, and you really hold them back. You don't let them experience anything, whether it's alcohol or seeing a titty or whatever, and then all of a sudden you turn them loose. They were just going buck wild. The guy was into crystal meth he was a young kid.
It's like also an argument against that, because the overwhelming majority of Amish kids who go on Rumspringa come back.
I've heard that.
Like that's their point to say, no, I'm leaving. But you can also attribute some of that to the fact that it's like, am I going to abandon my family?
Exactly.
Like everyone I've known my entire life? Like, no, I can't just leave and no longer be a part of their existence. Like,
do you think they're having a lot of sex?
Yes, so much.
Do you know how many kids those fuckers have?
No,
a ton.
during Rumspringa, do you think they're slutting around?
I would imagine so, probably.
Yeah.
Everyone says lots. Okay. Yeah, it might be my, out-of-date mind or something. But I'm like, if you went out and played PlayStation and drank Mountain Dew and even did crystal meth or something, then that would just be a thing you did. But if you fucked 19 guys that year, then came back, you put that on your permanent record.
You know what would be funny is to have a documentary crew film them and see how they react to non-white people. Because they've only hung out with white people their entire lives. Like the first time they come across an Asian or a Mexican or a black person or whatever, that's got to be kind of weird for them, right? That was their whole life.
You're a son of Ham.
Shit. You are a son of Ham. you think they lead with that when they talk to black people?
Stand back, son of Ham. Do not corrupt me. What the fuck did he say?
Do not corrupt me. She's in her bonnet and, hoop dress or whatever the fuck they did back then. Yeah. I feel like Amish people are probably happier than we are.
Oh, for sure.
At the end of the day, living with their family, living off the land, only doing shit on the internet when they absolutely have to. They've got to be way happier than us.
I guarantee they are.